Now that we have our new ebook title and have the domain name and hosting set up, we're ready to do the makeover of the original report. Now throughout this video you might hear me refer to that report as an ebook, but you know, tomato, tomato. In this video we're going to begin that makeover by creating a new cover image. Now for this I'm going to be using GIMP, which as mentioned earlier is a Photoshop-like image editor, only GIMP doesn't cost you anything. Now let me show you the original image that we're going to be replacing. This is called a flat. Now let me show you in the original report source document what that looks like. I'm opening this up in our Open Office Writer, and this is that cover image that we're going to be replacing. You can see the rest of the report here. We're going to tackle editing this in the next video, but for now, this is our task. Go and close out our Open Office Writer. And these other images that you see here are images that I downloaded from the internet, and it's important to note that you have to be sure to have the proper license or the ability to use these images that you downloaded. Otherwise, you're going to be sued, because if you don't have the proper license, then you're just inviting the lawyers to come knocking on your door. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about as far as looking for the proper licenses. And by the way, if you don't want to even mess with any of that, you can use programs like GIMP or Photoshop or Paint.net to create your own images. That way you're avoiding any possibility of getting sued because it's your creation. Anyway, I got these images from a site called findicons.com. And if we head over to the home page, you can see right here in the middle, just use this search box to type in your keywords. In this case, it was YouTube. And then click on search, and it brings you to the page that has all these different icons for YouTube. But over here on the left sidebar, you can see that the license here is for commercial use only. By default, it's set to all licenses. And this is the one that can get you in trouble. For example, this one is one that I downloaded right away because I thought it looked pretty cool, and it does. But if we open this up, you can see here on the license for that particular image, it's Creative Commons Attribution, which means you have to give credit to the creator, but it also goes on to say non-commercial. That's a no-no for us. So in this case, let's back this up. Under licenses, you want to make sure that it says commercial use. That way all of these are free for us to use. And if for some reason the image that you want to use, you're just not sure about the license because you can't find anywhere on that image or anywhere around that image where it gives you permission or not to use that in a commercial setting, and you cannot reach the image creator, then avoid any possible hassle down the line. Just move on. Find another image or create your own. So let's get to work here and open up GIMP. And in the package of that original report that we had purchased was the image source file, which is called a PSD file. It's a Photoshop source file. So I want to bring that into our GIMP and do the editing with that. So go to File, click on Open, navigate to the location of that report, and find the PSD file. Right here we go. We'll click on Open. And one of the beauties behind these PSD files is that it allows you to work in layers. And really, of this image, the only layer that I want is this gradient. And you can use these eyeballs here to make the different layers disappear. And let's get rid of that one too. Or you can just select the layer and come over here and left-click on the trash can icon. And by the way, I'm not going to go into great detail on how to use GIMP, just how to use GIMP to make this particular image. If you want to learn more about how to use GIMP, there's plenty of tutorials online. But at this point, I want to change this background color. So I'm going to select the background image and then click on Create New Layer. And then this dialog box pops up. Make sure transparency is selected, which it is by default. Click on OK. Then come up here to Layer, Transparency, and in the flyout, left click on Alpha to Selection. Now at this point, we want to come over here to the toolbox and select the paint bucket, and then click on the color right here. And then this dialog box pops up. Now I want to make this a kind of a lighter blue color. One of these guys will work just fine. And if you want to create your own, then I use this tool here quite a bit, just to find a color right in here somewhere that you like. Yeah, that'll work for me. And then click on OK. And then with the foreground color selected, make sure that you've got the FG color fill selected. Then come on back to your canvas area and left click. There we go. Now I want to bring in that one of those YouTube images. Come up here to File, Open as Layers, navigate to the location on your computer where you've got your images at. In this case, it's my working folder. Is that the one I want, or is that the one? Let's go with this one. And then click on Open. Now it's way too small, so for this we want to use the Scale tool to make it bigger. Then click on that. Over here you want to make sure that the chain link is connected, so just click on that. And that preserves what's called the aspect ratio. Just grab one of these corners and make it as big as you want. Yeah, that'll work. And then click on scale. Now I want to move that more to the center and up a little bit. So let's use the move tool here. Select that. Then hold the shift key down on your keyboard if you're on a PC. I'm not really sure what it is on the Mac. And that way, the image that you want to move is the image that's going to be moved. Otherwise, if you don't hold the shift key down when you do that, then for some reason or another, over here in the layer box, it tends to want to jump off of the layer that you're moving and find something else. In which case, if you make a mistake, by the way, just hold the control key down on your keyboard and hit the letter Z as in zebra, and that will undo what was just done. Now then, I want to add the text. Marketing mistakes, and then the subtitle, the top 6 marketing mistakes, because that's going to be our new subtitle, and our new title is, instead of YouTube marketing blunders, if you recall from the previous videos, it's YouTube marketing mistakes. Let's go ahead and get this out of here, and add our text. Come over to the toolbox and click on the text tool. Make sure we've got the proper color chosen, and I want black, so the color dialog box pops up, and I already have one made here, so let's click on OK and choose a proper font and font size. And by the way, these fonts are showing the available fonts already installed on your system. So if you want additional fonts, then just do a search online for free fonts, download and install. And like with how to use GIMP, there are plenty of tutorials online on how to install new fonts. Arial Heavy will work, and I'll change the font size here on the canvas itself. But you can change it right there as well. So go ahead and left click, hold, and drag to get you the working area, then let go, and then somewhere in here start typing. And you can see how dinky that is. That's not going to work for us, so I'm highlighting that, and in this box here, hit the up arrow to increase the font size to fill this in. Yep, that'll work. Now then, that's not quite centered, so let's go ahead and move this. Come on up here and select the move tool. And again, remember to hold the shift key down while you're doing this and get things kind of centered. Okay, now then the next line in our title is mistakes. Come on back to the text tool, and I want a different font, something a little more mistake-like, and I'm going to use the 28 days later font. And let's go ahead and change this to, let's say, 120. Left click, hold, and drag. Start typing, and that's not big enough for us, so let's select the text, hit the up arrow to make it bigger. Yep, that'll work. Click on the move tool, hold the shift key down, move this to where I want it. Now for our subtitle, again, we're going to need the text tool, but I want a different color. Something more in line with red. Yeah, but not too red, because on the blue background, that's going to really make your eyes hurt. So let's try something a little bit darker. Yeah, okay, that'll work. But I don't want the 28 days later font. I want something kind of matching the marketing text. Let's try this one. And again, the more that you play around with GIMP, the easier it's going to get for you. Just like most anything else, you'll find shortcuts and different tricks to get things done the way you want them done. So now then just left click, hold, and drag to get our working area. Okay, let's move this out a little bit. Okay, now then let's choose the move tool, shift key down, move this to where it's centered the way that I want it, and we're good. Now then let's go ahead and save this. Come up here to File, and if we choose Save or Save As, then that's going to save this as a GIMP project file, which is great, and you probably should do that anyway, just so that if you want to make any edits to this later on, you simply open up that project file. It's similar to the Photoshop equivalent of the PSD file. But what we need is a JPEG or a JPG or a PNG file for us to be able to import into that Word document. So for that, we need to use the Export As. Go ahead and click on that. Navigate to the location on your computer where you want to save this at. Give it a name. And let's say report-new.jpg. And then click on Export. Then you get this pops up. And I usually just use the default settings, but you can make adjustments here if you like. But I'm just going to go with the default settings, click on Export, and we're good. Now then, we're done with GIMP, but before we finish things off in this video, I want to show you how you can fancy up that flat. Let me show you the flat that we have right now. This is it right here, and that's going to work perfectly for our cover image, but what I want to do in addition to that is make what's called a 3D e-cover. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Going back to the original package here, and this is what I'm talking about creating. Now, you can do this with programs like Photoshop because it has what's called action scripts that will render that flat into what you're seeing right now. But we don't need that because there are free programs online that you can look for and use that will do that kind of work for you. And you can simply do a search for free online ebook cover creator, and rifle through any one of the million+ results, or you can just simply use this site here called Adazing and go to adazing.com/cover-mocks and choose one of these items here. And again, this is totally free, and we're going to go with the spiral bound version right here. Just click on that radio button, click on Next Step, click on Choose File, navigate to where that new flat is that we just created. Select that, click on Open, click on Next Step, put in your email address here, and click on Next Step. And it's creating that 3D image for us. Click on Download My Cover, and there we are. At this point, right-click, left-click on Save Image As, navigate to where you want to save that to. Of course, you want to change the name from whatever this is to something more recognizable. And there is our image. Now you can open this up in GIMP and do some additional editing, like cropping this stuff out of the way here, or however you want it. And before I close out this video, I want to mention one last item that if you don't want to go through any of the work that I just showed you, but you do have a few bucks on hand, then you can use a site like Fiverr.com and give them an idea as to what you have and what you want. Pay them $5 to $20 or so, and they'll do all that work for you. That way you can spend your time, instead of learning how to use GIMP and creating a new e-cover image, you can spend that time on further editing your report or the sales copy and getting ready to market your brand new report or ebook. That's going to bring us to the end of this video on creating a new ebook cover image. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day.